Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my Shadowverse Evolve Fairy Forestcraft deck profile. Wanted to show you all the first for the Forestcraft deck that I have built from the Shadowverse Evolve card game. Definitely a fun deck that I've been testing out that just focuses on getting out the wide variety of fairy tokens that we play in the game, and then being able to utilize some of our bigger boss monsters like Cynthia to give the said card Storm and Assail. So it's just about the big numbers of fairies that you can set up, and then also being able to power up these different fairies with the other followers that we run in the deck as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the actual main deck, we're running 3 copies of Cynthia, the Queen's Blade. It's fanfare. You put a Fairy Wisp token into your EX area and give each pixie token on your field +2 attack. So it's just a good setup card, giving more of your fairy or pixie tokens on the field. That added power up, and then being able just to place a Fairy Wisp token into your EX area, which the Fairy Wisp tokens, have 0 costs to play. So then you can just play them right out afterwards. And while this card's on your field, each pixie token on your field has Storm and Assail. It's that added power of when you play that said token, they can immediately attack into your opponent's followers, and also their ones that haven't even attacked yet, or with ward. And whenever a pixie token is put onto your field, you get +2 attack. So you just have that added power when you place the Fairy Wisp token into your EX area to then call it out, and then it can immediately hit for 3 as well. Another one of our bigger legendary followers include the 3 copies of Amataz, the Fairy Blader. Put a fairy token into your EX area, give each pixie follower in your EX area +1 attack and shield, and you're able to tap this follower as well. Select up to 2 pixie followers that cost 1 or less on your field and give them Storm. So it's more of an early turn Storm option, because then you can also just set up those other pixie followers that you have for those cards, and the added power boost that the fanfare provided as well, thanks to those cards, and then the additional Storm for just a 2-cost follower to play onto the field also. We're also running 3 copies of Rhinoceroach, with this card needing a 0 play cost for evolving. And also fanfare, you give this follower X attack. X equals the number of cards you played this turn, excluding this card. So you can basically just power up this follower with the added play, and then evolve it for no cost into Rhinoceroach Evolved, being able to then give this follower Storm and select an enemy follower on the field and deal it X damage. X equals this follower attack. So the more you power up Rhinoceroach, the more its evolved form can also deal out damage. Another 3 we run include the 3 copies of Fairy Dragon, with it having ward and fanfare, giving it +1 attack for every pixie token on your field and in your EX area. So if you set up, let's say earlier on, with one of your spells like Fairy Circle, so your turn 1 you play Fairy Circle, you put 3 fairy tokens into your EX area, then on turn 2 you play out Fairy Dragon, you can have this card gain 3 attacks since you have the 3 fairy tokens in your EX area to provide for an additional attack for it when you use ward, to be able to swing back at your opponent's followers for some pretty heavy damage. And then its last words, put a Fairy Wisp and a fairy token into your EX area, giving you more and more set up with 2 additional tokens as well. We're also running 3 copies of Blessed Fairy Dancer, with its fanfare giving +1 attack and shield to each other pixie follower on your field and in your EX area. This is one of the cards I mentioned that just boosts the attack of the provided cards on your field and your EX area. So with just a 2 cost, you can just boost the attack of your other followers, whether they be on your field or your EX areas, to more and more heights. So the more Fairy Wisp tokens you have set up, the bigger their attack and shield will become thanks to this card. 3 copies of Crystalia Lily, with its evolution requiring 2 points to evolve. And the fanfare, you look at the top 2 cards of your deck, you may reveal a Crystallian or Pixie follower from among them and add it to your hand. Put the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. So it's search power, being able to add the revealed Pixie card just gives you added search for a particular card, as long as it is a Crystallian, which is also a Crystalia Lily, or the additional Pixie, as we mentioned, also for the search. And we're also running 2 copies of Elf Girl Liza, While this card's on the field, your followers take 1 less damage from enemy abilities, so just ability reduction. It's kind of a good shield option for protecting some of our weaker cards, like our fairies that only have the 1 shield, from just being completely wiped out by our opponents' followers that can deal additional damage or any of their spells by just reducing that number by 1. It can definitely help in certain situations. 2 copies also of Blossom Spirit with the 1 cost to evolve, and Fanfare putting a Netarian Great Tree or Fairy token into your EX area. So the big play here is obviously just being able to use a 3-cost Fairy token play out thanks to this card, the Netarian Great Tree. When it leaves the field, you draw a card, then discard a card. The bigger play is just to play the Fairy, since this is the main focus of the deck, and then having an evolve option as well on top of the added damage that this card can provide for the more cards in your EX area. We're also running 2 copies of Elven Princess Mage, with its evolve cost just being 1 to evolve, and then having the evolve option to put more Fairy Wisp tokens into our EX area. And then the last of our followers being the 1 copy of Spinaria, Keeper of Enigmas, having Ward and Fanfare to look at the top 4 cards of your deck. From among them, you may reveal up to 1 Forest follower and up to 1 Forest spell. Add them to your hand, put the remaining on the bottom of the deck in any order. And then combo 3, which for those of you who don't know, combo just depends on how many cards you have played that turn. So with the combo 3 being able to recover 3 play points after doing so. So the more cards you've used previously during that turn, the better you have for setup for combo. For the spells, one of the best staples for Forestcraft spells include Fairy Circle. A good turn 1 card, you put 3 Fairy tokens into your EX area. Just added setup for you then to be able to play more fairies the following turn. 3, and then also the 2 copies of Goddess by Sunlit Sea. Draw a card. If there's a follower that costs 5 or more on your field, you recover 1 play point. So just added play point recovery as well if you use this card late game. Otherwise, early on, if you don't have Fairy Circle, it's just a good card to kind of sift through the deck more. We're also running the additional 3 copies of Elf Song, a cost 2 spell. Summon a Fairy token in combo 3. Give each Forestcraft follower on your field +1 attack and shield. So added build up as well if we have combo 3, which, you know, turn 4, if you've used multiple 1-of cost cards, just being able to use these cards in tandem with Elf Song to then power up the followers on your field even more additionally. And then some of the lower count cards for our setup include the added power for our Spirit Shine, which we're also running the 1-of copy count. You choose one of the following: select a Pixie token on your field or in your EX area, give it +2 attack and shield, or 2, put 2 Fairy tokens into your EX area. So for just a 1-cost card, it gives you the option for either the power boost or the 2 Fairy tokens. A little, it's a little more selective than the Fairy Circle. That's why it has the 1-of less Fairy to be able to play out, but still a good option nonetheless. And then other 1-ofs include the 1 copy of Ivy Spellbomb. For selecting an enemy follower on the field, deal 5 damage, combo 3, dealing 3 to its leader. The 1 copy of one of the only amulets we run in the deck being Flower of Fairies. For the Fanfare, putting a Fairy Wisp token into your EX area, and then you tap and bury this card to summon out a Fairy token as well. So just more and more setup for a cost 2, giving you 2 additional token followers to use. And then for the remaining spells in the deck, 1 copy of Angelic Snipe and 3 copies of Angelic Barrage, just to help more for the destruction with any extra play points we may have on our opponent's turn, to then be able to wipe out some of their smaller followers, things with Ward, you name it, with just this generic spell lineup. And then for the Evolved deck, some of the spots in the Evolved deck, along with the main deck, for 1 card I'm missing, would be Sukuna. So if you wanted to run Sukuna, you can either decrease the number of generic spells that we have in the deck for added copies of the 1-cost Sukuna, and then take up the Evolved spots for the 1-of count of Elven Princess Mage. Sukuna's just pretty expensive at the moment, so you can drop 1 count for a Sukuna Evolved if you wish. Elven Princess Mage on Evolve, you put 2 Fairy Wisp tokens into your EX area for the, once again, free of cost of being able to call out this token follower. The 3 copies of Rhinoceroach for the added setup, as mentioned before, on Evolve. You can choose and use one of the following effects. 1, give this follower Storm, select an enemy follower on the field, and deal X damage. X equals the number of this follower's attack. So more damage as well, being able to choose one of the following. If you want the easier on-turn attack to your opponent's leader, you can use the Storm, or damage into one of your opponent's followers. We're also running 2 copies of Crystalia Leah Lily evolved. On evolve, you select an enemy follower on the field, put it on the bottom of the owner's deck. So this just gives you more of a reaction to some of your opponent's followers as well. And lastly, the 2 copies of the Blossom Spirit. On evolve, selecting enemy follower on the field and deal it 2 damage. If there are at least 3 cards in your EX area, which with cards like Fairy Circle can be easily done, you deal 4 instead. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. I've definitely been having a lot of fun with Shadowverse lately. That's why there's been an increase in deck profiles on the channel. So if there's any other ones you would like to see, definitely do let me know down in the comments below. And until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Qualia out.